What's going on, gamers? We got an interesting post here talking about Shuhei Yoshida. He's been coming out again. Usually when he comes out one time, he might come out again a couple more times. And he has two discussions. One is PlayStation AAA games, as we've known, should never be day and date on PC, which I agree with. And we were talking about that in the Xbox video I did recently, and how Sony putting games on PC did not really hurt the PlayStation sales or anything like that. In the sense of this down here, he shuts down PlayStation peers and system PC ports never hurt PS5 sales, but funded future blockbuster titles. Which, in a way, he's right, because if you lost some money on Concord and lost some money off of cancels, and even if they did do 1.5% from Steam, it still paid for any mistakes you made. If it was, only, that much money, it's like, oh no, that pays for everything. You know what I mean? In that sense, I get what he's saying, but then there's another factor to it too that we're going to be talking about. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you guys think. So Shuhei Yoshida doesn't think Sony AAA games should come to PC day one. I don't think that's a good strategy for a platform holder like PlayStation. Nintendo would never, you know what I mean? And we know this. One, yeah, that would completely destroy and do damage to the identity of PlayStation. Then it would be looked at in a way kind of like people look at Xbox, though the difference is Sony would still sell more consoles because they have a loyal base. Everybody knows that. They've built that brand for a long time. And they have what people kind of want in the mainstream, when it's that balance between that massive third party, the money having of the third party, and having some AAA exclusives that kind of cater more to Western society, European society as well, and sometimes Japan. Whereas Nintendo covers a different demographic, but they get everybody worldwide, and it's for everyone. PlayStation, a little bit different, whereas like outside of the exclusives of PlayStation, because you can't play them forever, though you can replay them. People have done that multiple times. There's with games like Last of Us, Uncharted, and plenty of other games. It's mostly about third party after that, because that's their biggest pull. And Sony always had a huge monopoly on that. And if they were putting their games day and date on PC, that would completely damage them for the PS6 launch. They need that identity. So only on PlayStation is definitely important, but not every game. Like, I don't think that a game like Helldivers 3 should be a PlayStation exclusive. You know what I mean? When it comes to multiplayer games, because PC gamers love multiplayer games. You look at the top games, always multiplayer games, or some single player modding games. You have to have that there day one. And that's not what Yoshida was talking about when he said Sony AAA games. He's talking about their 10-pole games like Spider-Man 2, God of War, Sorrows, which is going to be included, Wolverine, Last of Us 3. Like, those games never do that. You know what I mean? Keep it there for years, and then if you want to share it with PC, you should. And that's where that other comment comes into, which we're going to get into here in a second. But what I was talking about with Xbox earlier is that in order to play this game, though, which Sony can do, you have to sell a lot of consoles. Sony's going to get their 100 million. PS1 got 100 plus million, you know what I mean? PS2 had 157 million, though they made up some extra sales or whatever, or 156, whatever you want to say, because they were scared of the Switch One sales. PS3 almost did, but it started off slow. PS4 got over 100 million, PS5 is. So when you have that type of install base, you can sell to them easily and play that game. And if you want to choose to branch out because you want more money, it's not like Sony was ever broke. They made more money than all other generations ever, right? So the idea is, do they really need PC gaming? No, Sony can survive without it, but does it help out? Obviously it does, but it comes down to how much do you want to strengthen your brand? Or do you just want to make as much money as possible? Whereas like Xbox has to be a third-party publisher. Sony does not have to at all. They're still like first-party and third-party. And then there's like the second party too, if you want to know what that means, where you don't own the developer, but they still make an exclusive for you. If you just only want to look at first-party and third-party, you can do that too, but second-party kind of exists in that type of definition. So that's kind of what Shuhei was kind of saying. Now, Oliver comes out and says, Shuhei Yoshida is right. PC ports didn't hurt PS5 sales, at least not in any meaningful way. But this is moving the goalpost. Sony's actual plan was to increase PS5 sales. Yeah, if they thought that, I don't know, because that crowd is a little bit different. And this obviously failed, including lower than expected PC software sales, plus pirating, and then you got politics involved too when it comes to certain type of games and hirings. We all know that that plays a huge factor in the PC world more than anything, and they will literally not buy a game and support it because of that. So like when you think about, something like Sweet Baby Inc., PC gamers made it clear that because of that, these sales will not be that. They'll actually go and pirate it or completely ignore it. That type of stuff matters. Where in the console world, it's a little bit different. Not that people are not aware of that and it doesn't matter, but not as much as it is in the PC world. And PC gamers are a different type of crowd in that sort of sense, because that's where you're making the content on the PC. When they're going against it, like I said, that's in the PC world. So that definitely affects Sony. Plus, like the war between the Xbox base teaming up with the PC base and a PC only base too, that can sometimes have a dilemma with PlayStation. It just works that way, and it's just the way that it is. It's mixed emotions. So yeah, Sony wants its PC ports to help drive PlayStation 5 sales. PlayStation wants to have the best of console and PC worlds with its first-party release approach, but how effective is it really? And this was back in 2024 when they did say that we're doing that because we want to strengthen the PlayStation brand. Now come here because it's not coming to PC day and date. Right? So yeah, that's kind of there. And then going back to Shuhei Yoshida shuts down PlayStation purists, insisting PC ports never hurt PS5 sales but funded the next blockbusters. I mean, in a way, he's kind of right. And if it did, the damage was minimal. It wasn't anything that you had to worry about. But if you look at, like I was saying before, that 1.5% isn't really much. You can pretty much get that with PS6 only. And then putting your third-party games, not third-party, putting your games like Kena or like the next multiplayer game like Marvel on there, and still getting money and getting support for PC, because you're not making everything exclusive, but just your tentpole titles. That's the difference between Sony and Microsoft, whereas Sony also does not have PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Extra and Premium on PC and on mobile devices. It is only on the PlayStation ecosystem. Like Nintendo Online, Switch Online is only on the Nintendo platforms. So what Yoshida is saying here, I mean, he's correct, because when Sony did that, are they not going to reach 100 million even with canceled and all that? No, it's still getting it, right? And then GTA 6 is just right there waiting. So it is 100% guaranteed. But when you're trying to push PSSR 2 and only on PlayStation from single player standpoint, that makes sense. You need that strong identity. Now you got your own upscalers. You're going to get frame gen eventually. And you know what I mean? You need the PS6 to sell, because that's important. It's now 60% of your company. PlayStation is. So that's a different standpoint from where Microsoft stands. And I think when people compare, they need to understand the different factors here in play. It really is like that. So him saying that, I'm not going to be offended, because I'm not a pony, right? I love PlayStation, right? I love Nintendo. I love Xbox, right? Like the Xbox that I knew. And PC gaming to an extent where I'm playing it on there too. I love gaming in general. But I'm not going to be the type of guy that if that's what works and the company makes that and they're not damaging their brand and their identity, then hey, you know what I mean? I didn't have no problem with that, because I'm still going to get my experience. But if Sony wanted to go only exclusive for a certain reason, I can understand if they wanted that PS6 launch, which needs to sell. It's going to be in a different position compared to every other console. Maybe the PS3 situation, right? Because it was that expensive because of that cell processor. So the PS6 has to succeed. So Sony does have to have that identity. They cannot go day and date on PC. But by sharing some of their games maybe later on in the PS6 generation, when you already probably got 40, 50 million sales, because you need that generation to be very strong, yeah, it's not going to hurt your sales later on. But if you're doing that stuff day and day, that makes people believe that they don't need your hardware. That stuff does matter. So, I mean, that's not really an argument. That's just realizing how the market works. Gizmo says, a game should be available to any platform. It's my opinion. I'm a PC gamer, which that makes sense why you think like that. And if the game is not available to PC, I'm not going to buy a console to play it, but that's me. Yeah, that's just you. Maybe someone will say, I own PC and all consoles, and this is a choice too. Exactly, that's me. I like to own everything. So I'm not missing out. I'm not going to be that type of guy that's sitting over there imagining it's going to come one day. Imagine if you're a huge racing fanatic and you love your realistic sims over in Europe. Bro, you're not getting Gran Turismo. You know what I mean? You're not going to get Gran Turismo 8. You're not going to get Bloodborne. You're not going to get you're going to get the Bloodborne remake. You're not going to get Demon Souls remake. It's like, it's not going to happen. So how are you going to get that experience? And what if you see a lot of experiences over there? Because if you're a gamer, you want to play the games. Unless you have an identity issue or a problem with a brand. And that's why I say it's literally not only just making your identity strong, but sometimes people on other identities have problems because the identity they wanted to represent did not beat that identity. Either way you want to look at it, identity is always a problem, and it matters big time. There's no escaping this. Everybody knows this. So that's why I say that when you think about things like somebody saying Nike, you know what I mean? That has something up in somebody's head. Adidas, you know what I mean? Reebok, when they used to be there. You know what I mean? A sports team, a player that's only on this sports team, Apple, Google, YouTube. It's like No, no, no. That means something. And if somebody's going against that, NVIDIA, I mean, you always have like the fanboys, but you also have people that really like that identity. And if you hurt the identity they supported their whole life, like a Cowboys fan, even back, look at today, people still Cowboys fans. You see what I mean, though? It matters, and some people will be stubborn, and they will never go to another identity or a brand just because that's just how they are. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. Sometimes it could clearly be a nice option for them, but because they have an identity issue in their mind, just the way that it is duality of human nature and duality in general, they're just not going to do it. This guy is saying the same thing. I don't care. He's going to miss out on the games. Though that's his free will of choice, and I don't think he's done because of that. No, that's just the way you want to work. Go ahead, man. But you're not going to tell me anything, and that's why I don't tell people what to buy. I say, no, man, buy whatever you want. You know what I mean? If you want to be Xbox, you know, all, even though like I could never stay only in that world, but it actually works for you, and that's what works for you. I'm not going to go beat that down because you got to find what makes you happy, what works for you. I've never been that type of person. But if I see the leaders destroying things and I see the leaders making mistakes and I feel like they're making me mad, yeah, I have an identity problem with Microsoft, you know what I mean, when it comes to Xbox. Yeah, of course, same thing with Windows 11 and the vulnerabilities and all that type of stuff, where it's like, yeah, it's a problem. So that's what I mean. It's always about that. You cannot escape that. Same thing when you like a certain video game IP like Final Fantasy or something, or GTA. That's an identity, man. So there's no way of escaping that, guys. Sony does not want the possibility of MSFT's Helix having access to their first-party titles. I promise you they're not threatened by that. That's not what this is. On a potentially more capable console that can also play 3 different ecosystems. Dude, that's what PC is already. What are you talking about? And Steam is way bigger. That's not going to get the install base of Steam. If Sony was threatened by anything, it would have been the idea of going to Steam, but they did it anyways. That's why I said, no, that does not work. It doesn't matter. Really, it doesn't. So I want you guys to let me know what you think about this. Do you agree with what I'm saying? And like what Shuhei Yoshida is saying, I understand what he thinks. There's always going to be some internal struggles when it comes to these type of topics. And I think that's what's going on while he was over there. So we've seen the results. We know the truth. Let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace out. Have a great day. And you know what I always say? Keep on gaming no matter what platform you're on. Later, y'all.